Hello builders, my name is G. We're going to go take a look back at week 6. Not a lot of progress necessarily on the business front, but exciting movements on the development front. So let's jump right into it. So taking a look at a couple of things here, right? We look a lot, so for the most part, right, most of the work as is for the last month is mostly around development work and making pretty good progress. So I've actually gotten the back end set up for the thing that's going to actually replace this Excel sheet here, which is going to be called poke work. So when you see this to be purchased and developed for a potential domain for it and for the product itself, I think poke work is going to be the thing that replaces this, and I think I'm kind of putting a bit of a priority on it. Funnily enough, I've also been working on the side, and I could probably demo it right now. A little replacement for poke pitch here, so kind of working with actually following a tutorial, YouTube tutorial on using fabric.js, and so kind of using that as the main basis for poke pitch. Draft stocks also pretty great progress on there, but market data is actually something that I've been kind of taking a look at how to actually use that, so that when we move on from just creating the different draft leagues to actually have the market data, so people can actually start pulling stocks. So on one hand, I could create manually like a bunch of fake market data to use with the fake stocks, which is just like I'm just going to AI generate a bunch of fake versions of the S&P 500, load it all into the database so that they're stored there, so people can start drafting with that. And before, and I'm going to bears repeating, I do actually think that using fake stocks to begin with is also really important, just from a development and iteration perspective, just because kind of going through a bunch of new stocks that you've never seen before, no preconceived notions because they're fake, and maybe they're based off of like the real stock, just because that's how I'm going to come up with inspiration for a lot of them. It's going to actually allow for me to understand how is someone like evaluating a stock they've never seen before, or someone who's fresh, brand new, just trying to look at it. How do they parse through information as quick as possible, right? So look, there's still going to be people who know, like, I want to look at, the historical performance of the stock, and profit, P&L, earnings per share, what's the multiple on that, so on and so forth. There's so many different metrics, right, that people might be looking at. It's just seeing which ones do people care about, what pieces of information do people need. Just because when you look at like Robinhood and Fidelity, like a lot of people like, oh, you have already a notion of what Amazon, Microsoft, all the different companies, major companies are using and doing, that you might like gloss over certain pieces of information. Thus, it clutters the UI for things that are actually needed. So using fake stocks can be beneficial there. So just trying to close the loop on some of these things here. Book Founder University, very interestingly, might connect to some different work that I've been doing, which an announcement on that will be coming up in the future. Again, why I want to get poke work done, because this is more of like macro business, but in terms of like day to day, like how are things being structured, what am I doing, like announces, releases, all that type of stuff. It's hard to communicate it within an Excel sheet, so hopefully be able to get this with pieces of this pulled together and out there. So to replace this Excel sheet, have a kind of financial dashboard that exists, but also something more like a Trello Kanban board to be able to show progression on more granular pieces of information as opposed to just raw metrics tracking. Because if you just looked at metrics tracking, right, 0, 0, you'd be like, okay, well, what are we doing here? It's hard to see progression in that manner, right? So, use the right tools for the right job. So we're just gonna switch over real quick. Go over. So here's something here, and you can kind of see there's Poke Imagine, which is a project name that I've been working off of. Who knows? Maybe I'll add it to the actual list. But this was based off a tutorial that I was following. And shout out to this guy who makes really great tutorials. Just to follow and be able to like have different products. And so, a lot of the work that I do, like conceivably I could come up with a lot of this stuff. A lot of it is like placement and layouts and, granular pieces of information. But, Poke Pitch, which was related to just like being able to generate and create pitch decks, just kind of creating the basis for, hey, this is vertical just because I'm following the thing, but, flipping it, rotating it, and making it long, that's just changing the dimensions of this. But, you can kind of see like, oh, we can start manipulating like different elements here. Maybe I don't want like a little border color, so I'm gonna put that there. Put a little piece of text here, change the color on that, so it pops there, right? Whatever, company name, right? Whatever goes there, and you can start designing stuff, right? So you can see that this is the start of another, like pitch deck creating thing, which is the point of Poke Pitch. So could be something that grows into something in the future, which is born off of like, hey, this is like a design tool, but whether it can go into different directions, like being built into something where I have an idea about something related to Figma, I've got this kind of base to work off of, right? At least from a front end perspective with some, database based background. And probably maybe I'll create a video that kind of discusses my stack and that type of stuff. But, it also goes to a side project that I'm also working related to being able to help non-technical people build products like this. Because honestly, this type of stuff has gotten a lot easier. So, it might take me like, a day after spending a week coming up with this to have a day where if I have a new idea about something, clone a Git repo of me already having built all this type of stuff in the way that I like it to then reorient and reuse it for a different purpose, right? So it could be Poke Imagine here to a different startup in the future. As long as it has this base, right, I can modify it, reuse different components from different things to create a new product. So that's kind of the progress for week 6. I'm actually pretty decently happy with the progress that I made. Obviously, we're really front-ending a lot of development, getting a lot of pieces together, right? And I kind of see the progression of kind of the portfolio of products that I've been creating as kind of a I-shaped growth pattern. So basically, trying out a bunch of different things, so spreading out. I mean, you can call it tree too, like there's a bunch of roots, like we're branching out to try to figure out what's going on. But once I see something that works, boom, focus, right? So the eye going up the center, the trunk of the tree, if you will. And then, hey, the thing's really successful. We get to be able to branch out again based off of it, right? So just trying out a bunch of different things, seeing what sticks, singularly focusing on it, and then moving on from there. So hopefully you gained a lot of inspiration from, what I've been working on, seeing my progression throughout these past few weeks, right? Putting myself out there for potential public ridicule or, whatever. I'm not moving fast enough. Totally recognize that that's a potential criticism, but, moving the ball forward, always good to see momentum actually building, having progress on products and moving things forward. So just remember that if a schmuck like G can build, so can you. All right. So I want you to go out there, ideate, see something really cool that you want to fix in the world, and actually create products to fix it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next week. Goodbye.